Welcome, folks. Thank you for joining us from Burbank, California for the WCA 2015 America Open League Finals. Today we got Crossfire first up on the list, but I'm Anthony Gex Mizerandino. Alongside me, I have Alan Shift. Donofrio, how are we doing today, buddy?
Man, we're doing great. It's a beautiful day outside, but even more important, it's a beautiful day inside the lobby. We're ready to see some Crossfire action, bullets whizzing by, frag action coming at us. It's going to be awesome.
Oh, yeah, a lot on the line for these teams today. We got some good stuff coming up for you. Before we really get into everything, let's go ahead and take a look at the format that we have for today. It will be a best of 3 maps and, of course, first to 10 rounds and that all-important knife round to get things kicked off to determine which side these teams start on.
Dude, the knife round. We can't say enough. Last year when we did this, 365 plus days ago, we were having a riot with the knife round. It's probably one of the most exciting parts of the game. Yeah. We see 5-man clutches. We see 1-on-5 situations that sometimes get converted. It's super awesome. It definitely gets the energy built up for when you jump into that live game getting competitive.
Does. It's a fan favorite here. It's a fan favorite in the studio. We all love it. The guys back in the production room love it. It's always a lot of fun, and it's very important too to determine which side you start on, because some maps favor one side versus the other. So it's a pretty important thing to win that knife round. But let's go ahead and take a look at the bracket as well, where we've been so far in this tournament. How did we get here? We have Team WoW, painGaming. They went up against each other last night, actually, and painGaming won in a very, very exciting best of 3 maps.
Yeah, best of 3 maps and a couple of overtimes, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. It's one of those things that I feel like we're probably going to see a couple of situations quite like that today. Getting down to those last 3 players total alive, and it's going to be who's got it. To get to that last, that international stage is going to be so huge. Not to mention the fact we have a Brazil team going through so far, which was kind of a shock. I mean, we've seen the Brazilians have a pretty good foothold in the community over the last couple of years, but this is the first time we've really seen them on a competitive stage really break through and make a statement, beating a really solid North American team.
And that's the thing. Brazil's had some trouble in the past against those North American teams, and they really showed up. I mean, beating arguably the best North American team in this event. So I'm very excited to see how they face off against Alphav here once we get things kicked off. Still waiting for some guys to join up in the room here, but we will be starting shortly. But I mean, really, it's great to see painGaming. They flew up. They're playing in Canada so they can play on these North American servers and compete in this event. And it's a great thing to see them doing as well as they have been so far. I mean, like we said, they had a very close game against Team WoW yesterday. Went all the way to a 3rd and final map, which ended up being sub-base. They won that in overtime. And it was truly exciting, and I'd like to see what they can do against.
A little controversy in there too. Yeah. I mean, there was maybe a little bit of deliberation as far as a couple of just protocol things with the rounds, but here we are at the grand finals. I don't think there's going to be any nonsense involved here. It's just going to be 2 solid, just go get 'em teams. I expect to see just a lot of aggression right off the bat. I mean, these teams are really feeling it, especially, the Alphav and the primetime game earlier today. I mean, Alphav's got to be ringing off a little bit of a high coming from that real tough semifinal matchup.
They had another tough one as well, and I think, all this culminating together is going to make just a great final game. And we want to hear your guys' thoughts on the upcoming finals here. A lot on the line for these teams today. So go ahead and follow WCA_America on Twitter. You can also join the conversation using hashtag WCA2015 and kind of talk about the event. Not only Crossfire, but we have, Heroes of the Storm coming up later today as well, so you can join the conversation on that and get involved. But lots of good esports action coming up today, Alan.
Tons of events, a lot of really good competition across multi-platform, multi-games. I mean, I know I'm going to be sticking around to watch the action that happens later. I mean, how can you not? I mean, it's a pretty big deal. I mean, there's a lot of money on the line, especially for this tournament, but I mean, every single event that's coming up, there's a pretty hefty prize pool. Obviously, the recognition says one thing, but it doesn't help to pad that wallet a little bit too while you're at it.
Exactly. And speaking of which, our first place prize today is going to be for $10,000 for Crossfire. So a lot on the line. Second place is going to be taking home $5,000, and that first and second place team, which both of these guys have already solidified their spot to go to China and compete on the international stage. So they've got that much done. It is a very big deal. They've got that much out of the way, but still, there's a difference between $5,000 here between the 2 placings. So these guys really want to bring it in this game. And of course, third place will pick up $3,000. Fourth place is $1,500 for that. And that third place game will be happening soon as well. It won't be broadcasted, but that is going to be happening behind the scenes. So that'll be between Team WoW and Primetime. So, more great games across the board there. And You know, it's a lot of good Crossfire action happening this weekend. A lot on the line, and that trip to China was just the most important thing, right?
And absolutely, there's really the China scene, as we know, is huge in this game right now, and it kind of says a lot to kind of put a chip on your shoulder to be one of the two teams that's coming out to support, you know, the Western Hemisphere, I guess you could say. It's going to be cool to see. I mean, let's just think about it real quick. Predictions. What do you have going as far as these two teams go?
You know what? I honestly think painGaming is going to take this. They beat Team WoW, and which is really saying a lot. One of the best teams in North America right now. And, you know, I think they're playing hot. I think they're going to be able to come through and finish off the event here and take first.
You know, I'm kind of glad you said that because I'm a big Alpha-5 fan. I have been for a while, too. I mean, these guys have been playing the game for literally ever, it seems like.
They have.
Literally since closed beta, like, what was that, 6-7 years ago, feels like at this point.
Something like that. I mean, these guys they're pretty ancient in the competitive scene. They got the experience. I mean, all these teams, Alpha-5, painGaming, they've played on the international stages before. Most of the players on both of these teams, they've played at big LAN events. Even though this isn't a LAN, they have a lot of experience here. So I think we're in for a good game today, Alan.
Absolutely. Like I said, I don't see it not going to 3 games and all of those maps being extremely tight in the round count. I just don't see how that's possible. I definitely don't think there's going to be any sort of a blowout as far as, you know, these two teams go. I mean, especially from what we've seen earlier, you know, painGaming taking it all the way through just about every single possible round against Team WoW. And then the Alpha-5 game was also really close too. So, I mean, it's one of those things that I don't want to say it's for sure going to go to 3 maps, but I almost want to put my stamp of guarantee on it.
I think it's a pretty safe bet to say it'll go to 3 maps. So, you know, we'll have to see as it all plays out here. The game is coming up soon, guys. Alpha-5 versus painGaming. We're going to go ahead, cut it to a quick break, get everything set up, and we'll be back in just a little bit for your WCA 2015 North American Crossfire Finals. See you guys in a few minutes. All right, guys, welcome back. Our game here between painGaming versus Alphav is going to be starting rather soon. We're going to talk a little bit more first, but I am Anthony Gex Miserantino. I have Alan Shift Donofrio next to me. How we doing?
Yeah, we're just about to get into the banning phase, and I think this is really going to be a true tell as far as what we can expect from both teams as far as play style goes. We saw painGaming did that third map was sub-base that went all the way through overtime. They didn't exactly look strong based on the little highlights that I saw, but they obviously didn't look weak either. As it looks like at the first ban, Pain is going to ban up Port.
Yeah, and then
Thoughts?
I see. Well, if I take a look back, they did ban Port yesterday as their ban when they played Team WoW. So I guess it's probably not that strong of a map for them. And it looks like Alphav went through and banned Black Widow, which painGaming actually beat WoW on.
And I think there's a little bit of reconnaissance there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a smart ban for sure, as it looks like the first map pick is going to be Ankara.
Yeah, it's going to be Ankara. Pain picked that, and they actually didn't win that map yesterday when they played WoW. So we'll have to see how that goes. But we do have our three maps: Ankara, Mexico, and Subbase are going to be the three maps. Pretty interesting mix there. It's all two of the same maps from yesterday that painGaming played in, Ankara and Subbase. But Mexico is going to be our other map that gets thrown in here, and I really do like that one. It's very exciting.
I was just about to say, I think that's really going to show who's ready to take this tournament by the throat and really just go for it. I mean, that map, you have to be aggressive on offense if you want to be able to at least get even close to smelling a bomb site. And if you don't control that middle area, it's going to be a true tell. So I think on Kara, we're probably going to see a little bit of back and forth just by the nature of the map. But that Mexico matchup, I think, is really going to push a lot of momentum. Is if we do go to a Game 3, I think whoever wins that map is really going to carry that momentum into possibly clutching up and finishing off this tournament as a champion.
No, I agree, too. I mean, Mexico is just such a fast-paced and exciting map to watch. It's very defensive-sided, so you really need to come out and put a good offense on. But it really does favor the defense just by the nature of the map. But it's always one of the most exciting to watch. It's a very small, choky kind of map and makes for some really, really exciting gameplay. So I'm excited to see these guys. I've never really watched painGaming all that much before, since they're down in the South American scene. But I think to see what they can put up against Alphav is going to be quite exciting. And of course, Ankara being the first map, it's like you said, it's more of a map where you feel it out. Some of the rounds take a little bit longer. It's quite a large map too, so it's kind of more of like feeling each other out, especially being the first map in our best of 3 too. It's I think even more so going to be about feeling each other out in this one.
It's going to be interesting to see. I think what we're really going to have to keep an eye on is who picks up a scope here. I feel like a lot of this is going to come on if the scope can call out proper rotates and even get the first couple picks. It's going to open up a ton of possibility either as a defender to kind of control the map and take that 75% stronghold and really push the offense to a certain corner, or vice versa. You have the offense that get those first picks, and then you completely open up an entire half of the map at least.
Oh yeah, it's very important on this map specifically because it is so big. That scope can really play a big role. Get your team some good picks to start off the round and open up those bomb sites is really important, as well as on defense too. Shutting down some of those pushes, being able to use, especially over towards the A site, that A long area. It's very wide open. You can use that, playing a scope aggressively down that way and try and shut down the pushes that come in. But we'll have to see. I know Alphav, they really have a few people on their team that can scope quite well. So it's not always a dedicated scope that they have. Sometimes they like to switch it around. So I'm curious to see who they pull out in this one. As far as painGaming, I really don't know who their scope is, but I guess time will tell.
Absolutely. The other thing that I was going to kind of keep in mind with these bomb sites, especially over by A side, where it really kind of does depend on how well do you put your smokes and your flashes. We haven't really seen too much of painGaming as far as their cohesiveness as a team. Obviously, we've seen Alphav a handful of times before. You got to figure that these guys that have been playing together for at least the last almost 2 years at this point.
Yeah.
they're going to have that actual systematic protocol down. How to actually execute versus how to fall back and strategically retreat,
right.
especially when you're dealing with an offensive situation. I would have to say that I think if Alpha 5 wins this knife round, I would have a hard time believing they would not pick offense first.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, we'll have to see whenever they get in there and get the knife round started. We are just waiting from one more player from painGaming, and we should be able to get things started. We're told he's coming soon, so we have hope here. Hopefully he'll be in. But you also have to mention too on the side of Alpha 5, they have the brothers,
sure,
the dynamic duo Jaime and Pablo, who are brothers in real life. I believe it's brothers or cousins. I think they're brothers, but you have that synergy there between those two. So it's always fun to watch those guys play together. They've been playing on the same teams. It's almost like a package deal. When you play with one of those guys, you have to get Jaime and Pablo both. They won't separate from each other, so it's cool to watch. They have very good synergy playing together. So I always do enjoy seeing those guys.
So let's just go at it. Ankara, who do you think takes the map?
That's I think Alpha 5 will come out with this one, and I'm saying that mainly because painGaming lost on it yesterday. They lost on Ankara, which it was their pick when they had picked this map yesterday. It was painGaming's pick, but they ended up losing. And I feel as though Alpha 5 can come out with this one just based off of that gameplay yesterday, though. What are you thinking?
I mean, you have to think if painGaming loses on this map yesterday as their pick, they come back and they pick it again today. They have to have some kind of confidence in
That's true.
some approach that they maybe did not execute completely last time through on the games yesterday. Yeah. So you have to think that their confidence is still sustained throughout that, and they're going to pull out something that will really either exploit the map or exploit their strengths as a team to kind of put Alpha 5, their backs against the wall. So I would have to say I would like to believe that painGaming was probably going to end up taking this. But I think a lot of it's going to come down to what they can do with the first half of the match, depending on what side that they're on, and what they can really do as far as building a buffer or keeping the gap close. I really do believe if Alpha 5 starts on offense, they need to go round for round with Alpha 5 when they're playing defense. I have a feeling when they go on offense, you're going to see a lot more, I don't want to say like complexity to their strats, but I have a feeling they're going to be pulling out things that may be a little more liberal for this stage. I feel like Alpha 5 is going to be a little bit more casual, a little bit more calm and relaxed in their approach, where I think painGaming is really going to have to make their presence known after coming off and losing yesterday and then again picking for the first map overall today.
Well, like you said, I mean, they have to have a good confidence in this map. You were saying that maybe they just didn't execute well or something of that sort. So I agree with you there, and I expect them to put up a very good fight against Alpha 5. Still think A5 is going to take it, but in this stage of the game, these teams are so close. And I know it's like a cliche thing to say, but it really could go either way at this point. These teams are just so close to each other. So we'll have to see. It looks like the teams are going to go ahead and change a couple things up. We have a few things to sort out. So we'll go ahead and try and help these guys get everything set up. And we will be back with you guys for our WCA 2015 America Open Finals for Crossfire. See you guys in a few. Hello again, everybody. We're back. We are back. Anthony Gex, Miserandino, Alan Shift, Donofrio here, and we're actually about to get the shindig rolling here.
Yeah, 4 out of 5 for painGaming. Just waiting on one more. It looks like just a little bit of a client issue, which happens. It's
it
one
happens.
Of those things.
You know, it's you know, exactly. Can't control it. Got to go with the flow here. We've been going with the flow. We're having a great time just hanging out and talking to these guys and getting things set up. And we were actually talking to them, and they were saying that these guys play each other a lot over the past few days because painGaming's been up in Canada getting ready for this event for about a half a week or so, maybe a little more, and they've been scrimmaging each other quite a bit. You know, just good practice between the two teams, and they said they've been about 50-50 or so. I don't know if they were being modest, being nice.
Well,
maybe, but
who's really to gauge?
Yeah.
I mean, we got a bunch of clowns in here. Let's be real, but you know, it is cool to see, and I'm sure it's it's smart on both their sides to really get the exposure to different play styles. You know, the Brazilian side of things routinely has played a different way than we've seen a lot of the North American teams, especially Alpha-5. I mean, they do like to lock things down and just control. Whereas what it sounds like is painGaming likes to be a little bit more out of the box. Yeah. Which is totally different, I'm sure. You know, it's just like in any international market when you're playing with people who play on different servers, you're going to get different play styles and different types of maneuvers and all that stuff as we go. So
it's going to be certainly an interesting day. Make sure you guys go ahead and follow us on Twitter, WCA_America. Use that hashtag WCA2015. Join the conversation, but our conversation is going to shift into the game now because we do have the knife round starting up as we speak. Our first map is Ankara. After that, we'll have Mexico, and a third and final map, if we need it, will be sub-base. But it looks like we're already down 1-on-3, and painGaming is going to go ahead, take that knife round. And it is a very important thing, the knife round. It might seem a little silly to some people, but those who really understand the game know the importance of the knife round here, because now painGaming is going to pick which side they want to start on, and on a lot of these maps, those knife rounds can be very important, getting to pick which side you want.
Absolutely, and like we were saying, it's really going to come down to how well you can control whatever side you pick. I mean, you have to figure they already had first map choice. They're also going to get that side choice as well.
Yeah.
It's going to be huge as far as what they end up doing. And it looks like they're going to stick with the sides they started on. painGaming starting on Global Risk to start.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the safer bets for this particular map. It can really go either way. This is one of the maps that's a little less one-sided. It's kind of even across both sides, so I don't think you can necessarily go wrong for either side, depending on what your team's strengths and weaknesses are. But for painGaming, I think Global Risk is going to work well for them. I think you'll see most teams kind of gravitate towards picking Global Risk for Ankara if they do win the knife round. But I think we're headed into it here, Alan. We're started with our first map. Let's get going. I like that. So here we are, Ankara, first map. Second map, as I said, will be Mexico, third and final, if we need it, sub-base. But we are headed in-game here. This is for the WCA 2015 America Open League Finals, and we are getting things kicked off. We'll have Alpha-5 starting off over on the Blacklist side, painGaming taking Global Risk, and right away it looks like Alpha-5 wants to go ahead and work their way through this B connector. They're getting set up for a push here. They've got 4 inside of the B connector, and 1 is going to be moving up hotel side towards that B long, and they're getting ready to execute right now. They're moving very quickly here as Jaime leads the push. He'll be your entry fragger here. Flashes, nades all across the site. Monstar is actually going to pick up that first frag, taking down MND from painGaming, and they've already gotten that first frag to open up this bomb site, and they're headed straight on in here. Jaime grabs Supremo with a nade as well. Bruno picks up on Albert, and it's now just a 1 versus 3 as Felipe has to try and retake this bomb site all by himself and get the defuse as well. He's got 3 frags to find and the bomb. He's working around from the backside of the site. He sees Monstar hiding out inside of the site. Alpha-5 has a clear angle on where he's at. Does get a nade frag on a Monstar. Now 1 versus 2. Working on a 1-on-3 in total. Ralph sitting back by the stairs. And Exlert is over on the far side of the bomb site. He does find 1. Now drop down to a 1 versus 1. Sees Ralph over there, but he does finish it off for Alpha-5. They will pick up this first round here.
This is what I was talking about with Alpha-5. They are able to get into a bomb site very smoothly. I mean, that nade placement, smoke, and flash cover was absolutely perfect. It got that early control, and, you know, surprisingly, for a team that likes to control sites, they did not do that great of a job of holding that 3-on-1. They picked all their crossfire sites, no pun intended, but they were not able to convert on the one easy choke point from the middle of spawn there.
Yeah, and they also decided to peek out one at a time, Alpha 5 did, which is something you don't want to give a player that's trying to clutch. You don't want to give him those kind of opportunities. Don't peek him one by one. That's kind of one of the standards in games like this. So you don't want to give him those 1v1 opportunities. But right away off the start here, painGaming was able to take down Monstar, so immediately they have the one-player advantage. And they did have one push up towards the A alongside. Ralph is going to exchange, though, take down Felipe, who's been working with the so far. It looks like he is your main scope.
You know, it really gutsy play there, too. They ended up stacking B that time through and pushed Felipe up the A side once they saw a little bit of a tell from the nades and flashes that kind of came over the middle. Really smart defensive play. They just were not able to convert, and Felipe ends up getting punished for his aggression.
Now they've managed to take out Jaime as well. painGaming has a one-player advantage. Once again, it's a 4-on-3. Exlert's working his way back towards the A bomb site. But Ralph carrying the bomb, he was leaning over towards B, but it looks like Alpha 5 wants to make some sort of a move towards A now, as they have all their players leaning this way, and Albert's actually able to find one onto Bruno. So it is a 3 versus 3. They're starting to waltz their way inside of the vents here. Their time. One frag does go down onto Albert, but Exler does exchange. It's a 1 versus 2 now. Ralph trying to go up against MND and Supremo. He's down on the ground floor here. Height advantage not in his favor. MND picking up 2 big headshots. He evens the score here at 1-1.
Yeah, you know, again, able to get into the bomb site pretty well. I have to say, Pain did a really good job of kind of being aware of what was about to happen and getting themselves a chance to rotate back. You saw 3 of their players decided to retreat out of A, stack the middle, make sure they don't rotate, as a big pick comes out there to start the round against Jamie there. That's going to be huge for a little early round advantage, and I think we're going to see Pain really start to control this defensive side, at least on this round right now.
It's interesting, too, because both teams are running a double scope setup. Oh, and there it is. RST picks up yet another one here. He's just controlling this A long side, shutting these guys down. Ralph is going to pick up one of his dead teammates' scopes. He picks up a 3rd one yet. He's got a 3K on the round, just shutting them down. Monstar making an aggressive play towards a bomb site. He picks up 2 of his own, one with the M4 and one with his Deagle, and here comes the frags in return from Alpha 5 here. They've managed to even up the playing field back at a 2 versus 2 when they were down at 2v5. If they can pick up this round, that's a lot of momentum, but RST was able to do some fantastic work. Exler has worked his way all the way around to the B site, and Monstar is still hanging out in the vents towards A, and I think they might be trying to do a pinch on this A site here, Alan.
You know, they need to find a way to get back together here. The bomb's down all the way back by their offensive spawn. Exler able to pick up another. My goodness, he's going on crazy fire right now. Monster is going to be able to rotate back and freely take that bomb, as Brunel's all by himself with nowhere to go at the moment. He needs to find a bomb site and really try to get there and lock down at least one choke point if he can. The problem here is Exler's already lingering towards the middle and has his back right now towards bomb site B, which could be trouble if he doesn't turn around here. Bruno's coming right around his backside.
He is, he has a good look at him, take down Exler, so now it's a 1 versus 1, just 40 seconds left in the round. Monstar has the bomb, but he's also very hurt, only 18 health to his name. He's working his way towards spawn side, maybe trying to go towards B. He knows Bruno is over that way at his last sighting, and he wants to take this straight in A. Very smart rotate, and he'll take this straight into the A site and try and get this bomb plant down with just 20 seconds left.
Yeah, he put that with the right amount of time. I like the fact that he, you know, went out there and went right through the middle. Usually you like to see defensive players kind of not commit to a bomb site, so he definitely caught an edge there, which is awesome, and now he has the advantage being able to camp out in these double stairs and take a look towards that fence line, which it looks like Bruno has to rotate through if he wants to get here in time.
There's a big health advantage here. Monstar's playing over on the stairs. He needs to find one frag and get this defuse. Only 18 seconds left to do so, though. He's trying to hunt him out, search for him. He sees Monstar there. He whiffed on the shot. Monstar did it first, and Bruno got that second chance that he needed. He finds the frag, and he picks up that defuse as well. painGaming is now up 2-1 here on
You know, painGaming has to count their blessings on that matchup right there. They were in a really good spot to start, but they got over-aggressive with how much of the map they wanted to control, and Alpha 5 punished them a little bit there with this a couple of just random picks from different random kind of corner spots while they were trying to regroup. And Pain was lucky to get away with that one, even though they had the really strong early advantage due to the power of the scope. And you can see Alpha 5 is adjusting now, not taking any long routes, going straight underground and getting into B very quickly.
They're doing that same strat that they did on the first round. MND was able to find 2, but Jaime finally shuts down his reign of terror. Monstar takes out Felipe as well. It's a 3 versus 2 in favor of Alpha 5. Still trying to work this B site a little bit.
That strategic retreat here, they have the numbers, they know it. They know that Pain is regrouping, and they're taking the time to kind of reformat and almost go back to the beginning and say, all right, let's just do this round again, but it's 3-on-2. Let's just stick together and make something happen, and the little fake into the quick rotate back to A is going to pay off as that bomb site is just clear pastures right now.
Yeah, they got both painGaming guys are back towards the B site. One's kind of lurking around towards spawn because I think they might be getting an idea that they've decided to rotate themselves over to A, but they have entrance now, full entrance, Alpha 5, and they've got that bomb down, so it's a 3 versus 2 in their favor. painGaming looking good on the side of health, though. Both of them sitting at just about 100, so right here are actually both of them working from the spawn side. RST looking towards those stairs. He knows Monstar's over there. Jaime was able to grab Brunel, so now it's just a 1 versus 3. Monstar will pick up that second frag onto the painGaming player. And we are tied right back up here, 2-2.
And that's what Alpha 5 has to continue to do. They have to be able to just shell shock Pain and get into a bomb site quickly without giving them a chance to pick off anything from the distance. I mean, this map is literally divided by one giant long hallway middle. And if you're giving Pain a chance to convert that distance, you're going to be at a disadvantage more often than not. Although Exler able to pick off RTS right there really quickly is going to open up a lot of options, even though the trade does happen on Monstar, who was trying to get aggressive.
It was an excellent first shot from Exler there, though. Just shut down RST, who is your main scope, it seems. One of your main scopes over on the side of painGaming. Albert and Exler both are able to find one here towards this A side, and they've got themselves a 4v2 situation. They're trying to get to this bomb site. Bruno and MND are both sitting on this A site. They're just taking this fight directly here. MND was able to grab Exler with his M4, and now that's evened it up just a bit more. Still a one-player advantage on the side of Alpha 5, but Jaime's wrapping around towards his spawn side. Sees Bruno. Great move to run into that spawn before he had time to rotate towards the B site. Now it's MND stuck once again in a 1 versus 3. Alpha 5's got that bomb down on the B site.
The smart thing here, they actually have Albert sitting in the very back middle as if he can sit here and just call if a rotate comes from that side mid-side. Not happening here as he's coming through spawn, but again, Ralph and Jamie are just in great spots. I mean, they're playing tight corners. Jamie's able to take the shoulder peek if he needs it, and Ralph's right there to kind of storm and come back through, and there it is, easy headshot. That's a brilliant round, absolutely brilliant play from Jamie. They didn't commit to taking A even though they had the advantage, and instead they try to take the corner of, well, we'll let Pain retake, think they have control on A site, and in reality, when we start to rotate, we have the flank down, we have it covered. Jamie ends up picking up a huge kill to really push them to a 3-on-1 situation. Again, anytime that Alpha 5 can get in a 3-on-1 situation, they're going to be happy campers.
Indeed, they will be. And they have, speaking of Jaime, he's back on that scope roll again, seeing maybe what he can find towards A long. It was smoked up heavily. Wow. Supremo push, but Jaime shut him down with a great shot with his scope. So immediately they've already gotten 2 picks. Exler was able to grab MND. It's a 5v3 once again. Alpha 5 with that 2-player advantage. They're also up 3-2, and they've moved the bomb now. Initially, it was kind of looking towards A, but they've moved themselves back towards B here. They're just sitting inside of the hotel. Still plenty of time left, 1:35, and they have a 2-player advantage to work with, so no rush here.
No, not at all, especially when you have the advantage of having a scope plus numbers. I mean, at this point, you can essentially just put your scope in reconnaissance mode and see what he sees, or it can kind of make a guesstimate as far as where things are going. It looks like they're going to leave Monstar over here at B to make some noise and kind of create a distraction. But hey, we'll take a headshot too while you're at it. This is going to leave, again, an open A site, easy take. Monstar is going to be right in the face here, although Felipe does end up giving him something right in the face. And it's going to be an easy plant here as soon as Ralph gets up these stairs. Well, they're kind of being passive about getting in here. I guess I did not realize how much of a commitment there was to defend B from Pain that side through. Even you can see aggressive nades thinking that they're right around the corner, which is not the case. And it's going to be a tough countdown from about 33 seconds on this bomb with that 4-on-2 situation. Pain looks like they're going to just team up, go the duo right through the fence, and see what they can outfrag.
It's going to be very, very tough for Pain here. This is such a tough area to push from to this spawn side. It's so choky, and there's so many different things to look at. Jaime immediately shuts down Felipe. It's now just on RTS. He was, or RST, excuse me. He got one and then just got shut down by the deagle of Jaime, who decided to jump off and end his own life afterwards. But it sets Alpha 5 up at a 4-2 lead.
Yeah, and this is what I'm talking about. Again, we were saying into the pregame, if Alpha 5 can lock down their smokes and they can get their rotates through, they're going to have an easy time controlling. Obviously, with Jaime picking up that scope and getting those first 2 picks, huge as far as, again, anytime that Alpha 5 on offense has the advantage in numbers, they're going to have, you know, a high equity in it as far as taking the round completely. And Pain, I really have a little bit of a fear with them trying to get aggressive on defense. I know you want to, because this map is so big. You want to try to feel out your opponent to see if they're going to be leaning towards the side. But right now, painGaming, when they get aggressive on defense, they're just getting those 2 picks off too quickly, and it's putting them in a really bad spot in the first 30 seconds of the match.
And they put themselves down players, and then it's just trying to claw their way back from there. It's still a pretty close game, but certainly don't want to let it get out of hand if you're a painGaming player. So Alpha 5 working up mid. Ralph gets the first pick of the round, taking down Brunel. They did get an exchange. Albert was taken out immediately after by Supremo, so it's a 4 versus 4. It looks like they want to take it towards the B site here, but MND's able to pick up 3 frags with the M4. That's big stuff, just shutting down that mid push. And now it's just Monstar, 1 versus 4, and he's got the bomb down somewhere. He's got to go and try and find that, which is just going to be all the more trouble. He is able to find Felipe. That's 1 back in his favor, but it's 1 versus 3. He's still got a lot of work to do. That bomb's down. They probably have a tight lock on it. MND again. Picking off heads, man. He just did some incredible work that round. I think that was a 4K?
It was a 4K. Yeah. 3 up the middle. And again, it wasn't that they didn't get aggressive on defense. They were aggressive where they could be. You know, our MND came through the apartments and then got himself on bridge in a safe spot where he could cover himself and not be too vulnerable. Ends up being treated to a pretty easy 3K right in front of him.
Excellent work. Exactly what painGaming really needed there. It's got to give them some momentum working forward. Felipe was getting aggressive towards the vent side, but took a lot of damage, had to back up. Monstar was actually able to find the first frag of the round here. Takes down Brunel. Felipe is so hurt. He did finally finish off that frag on a Monstar that he was searching out for quite a while, but now it looks like Alpha 5 wants to bring this into the A site. Albert picks up 2 there with the M4, and they've got full control of this one now, as they've got smokes, flashes all over the place going off onto the site, but it is a 1-on-3 MND. Playing from this spawn side, which I am just not a huge fan of, finds an excellent headshot on Albert, finds 2, taking down Xlord as well. Now it's a 1 versus 1. Jaime, who only is just hanging on by the skin of his teeth here, he's got to be at about 2 health or so. MND is in a fantastic situation here, found 2 big frags, and all he needs to find is Jaime, who, as I said, is working with 2 health here.
You know, it makes me wonder, MND, after getting that second pickup, which incredible gamesmanship to be able to play from a tight corner with nothing in your favor really at all, able to pick up 2. I wonder if his teammate called out that Jaime is low, because he got aggressive, went right through middle looking for a blanket. There it is. MND playing lights out, 15-5. Put the team on his back, though. You know what I'm saying?
He is putting that team on the back right now. He is sitting 15-5, as you said. He's got 3 kills over double what the next player has. RST sitting at 6-7. That's the next best on the side of painGaming. Just unreal stuff from MND right now. He's keeping painGaming relevant in this game.
You know, it's one of those things that Monstar doing a good job of just being a distraction, as it looks like, wow, this is just such a bold strategy. Monstar playing aggressive on his own, and his teammates saying, yeah, we trust you, brother. We're going to be right in there with you. Coming out the basement right now, able to get into sight. But again, here is Supremo finally getting himself a little bit more respectable on the board with his second kill only. You know, we're in round 8 at the moment. So this is going to be kind of a tougher retake right now, and a lot of trading going back and forth. Supremo doing exactly what he has to do to trade through. Brunel trying to keep the bomb site alive. He gives enough time for MND to be in the one-on-one situation in a favorable spot. Granted, he doesn't have control of the bomb site. He does have an ability to sneak up and have a lot of cover. Monstar playing very closely to these containers, though. He's playing a little nervous.
He's got the bomb in his hands. He gets the spray down, takes down MND in a very tight fashion. Decided not to plant the bomb there. He had the opportunity to do so. Decided not to, though. and just kind of wanted to find that frag. But that is Alpha 5 taking the first half 5-4, very close, just like we said.
Exactly how I figured this matchup would start to go. We saw a lot of control, a lot of focus and diligence, and just real discipline from Alpha 5, able to get through sites and really kind of dictate how they were going to breach. If they didn't fully execute, they knew how they were going to strategically retreat to get back, and this is a good spot for Pain to be in. Keeping a one-round buffer is absolutely huge for them as we get into the second half.
We'll see how it plays out. We're hopping right right into the second half here.
Well.
Yeah, we're doing something. I think it's hopping right into the second half. painGaming now switching over to the Blacklist side. Alpha 5 over on Global Risk, and like we said, they're only down 5-4 at the moment. That is going to be Alpha 5 in the lead on that one. Unless I miscalculated. Alpha 5, yes. 5-4.
Yeah, Alpha 5.
Okay, I was second-guessing myself.
Yeah. I think it was just their name. If it was Alpha 6, we would have said 6-3 or something. No, this is really, though, that's really going to show us if Pain has the ability to be a force to be reckoned with here. They really have to get essentially together here and find a way to penetrate bomb sites. And it makes me a little nervous because Alpha 5 knows how to communicate and knows how to rotate to where they can play defense a little more aggressively and get away with it because they know they have the support in other parts of the map where they can strategically fall back if they need to, as it looks like Albert able to get the first pick, already putting Pain in a tough situation early on. They need to get aggressive here. They cannot be playing passive. It's just going to give Alpha 5 the time to counter with nades, flashes, smokes. I mean, they've held on to just about everything in their grenade bag so far.
And they are favoring this A site, it looks like. painGaming is. They've got Felipe over here, as well as Supremo with the bomb. They've got all 4 remaining. Oh, that's a great entry frag from Felipe. He gets taken out immediately after Exlert actually picks up 3 with the M4, searching for a 4th. But RST shuts him down right afterwards. But that was huge from Exlert. Just completely shut down that A site take on the side of painGaming. And now it's RST. He's got an M4 in hand.
Wow, what a shot.
Excellent shot on
the balcony.
That was a brilliant, brilliant shot.
The problem here for RST is they waited so long to try to penetrate this site, and now he has to commit to A. And Alpha 5 knows that, and he's going to be in a tough spot trying to play out there. There's Ralph with the support of Albert able to crush that out. But let's get into what Exlert just did. As a FPS player, if you are playing defense where it is your responsibility to hold, it doesn't make a difference in situations where if you do get those 3 kills or if you're just able to stall in that aspect. Exlert did a great job, obviously, being able to hold and get a 3K. But even last round with Supremo playing in Bomb Site B, even though he didn't have the score line that I think he wants, he was able to stall for a very long time to where he can get support from his teammates. And that's exactly the number one focus you have to keep in mind as you're the last one up in a defensive situation. Great play, though. Absolutely great play.
Yeah, played it very well. And pretty much won that round for his team. Up a massive 3K, shutting down that push, like I said. And there he is, strikes again, getting Felipe to start off this round, immediately giving Alpha 5 that 1-player advantage. So right now, MND, Bruno, working their way through mid. It looks like they want to go for something similar to what Alpha 5 was doing on their offensive side, is moving a few players through this B connector, and then 1 in through the hotel as well. And they've definitely started that. Supremo actually picks up 2. He just waltzes his way into the bomb site, shuts 2 down, and they have it completely open. You do have rotates, Jaime and Exlert coming in from the spawn side. RST was able to find 1 as well, but the rotates are coming in. Pain is in an excellent position. They're going to get this bomb down. Smoke off the spawn side as well, which is going to make it all the more difficult. Jaime hits an excellent shot, but the nade comes through from Bruno, and now it's Exlert 1 versus 2 now. It was 1 on 3, but he's still trying to work this spawn side. The bomb is down, so he needs to find these 2 frags and a defusal as well, but he's coming in right now. Sees MND on the far side. Exlert whiffing shots, though. He only has 15 seconds left, plus that defuse time that he needs, and MND is able to finally seek out that headshot, and we are now sitting at a 6-5 game in favor of Alpha 5.
Yeah, and, great play there from RST, knowing that Supremo had the double kill and was able to control that bomb site. He was able to lurk and play as kind of the caboose, when the train comes into the station over there at B bomb site, and able to pick up another lingering kill, trying, to avoid that retake as long as possible. As this is different.
A very, very fast round here. Frags exchanging left And right here, it's a 2v2. Bruno and Felipe both sitting inside of the mid, trying to get a couple of nades off to slow things down here, maybe. The action just unfolded.
Oh man, Ralph from behind here. This is dangerous. This is good. He's gonna pick up this bomb. Oh, there it is, through the box.
Gets the wall bang. Takes out Bruno. Now it's Felipe in a 1 versus 2. He's down at A long. He needs to try and get this bomb, which he is going to do.
I'm not sure if Ralph saw it drop, which is the thing. No. I feel like if he would have seen that, he would have called it to Albert, and they would have been able to rotate around and just kind of stranglehold that back mid. But, you know, either way, even if he did see it, I don't disagree with this play simply because they do have the numbers, and they do have, you know, a little bit of a health advantage. Obviously, Ralph a little bit more lit up than he probably would like, but being able to play this with a teammate, a lot better as far as having someone on your hip. There it is, easy catch.
Oh, Felipe getting caught with his pants down there. That's unfortunate. He had the right idea in mind, but Alphav also caught on to the fact that he might be going towards that A site right away. They rotated over there, both of them sticking together, which is exactly what you need to do in those situations. And a bit unfortunate for Felipe that he got caught with the bomb out, but you know it does happen. He had the right idea in mind for sure.
I mean, this setup that we're looking at right now is, I think, what Pain needs to stick to. That last round, we saw everyone try to commit to a rush, and they try to do it up the middle, which I can't really get behind, simply because we know how coordinated Alpha 5 can be and how easy it is to get flashes and nades in that corner. I mean, they shredded apart, even though Pain kind of came out with an even trade. They were able to shred a lot of the health away from the remaining players, keeping it, you know, to a point where, again, they're dealing with an advantage. If they're going to find a way to push, I think they need to commit more towards a direct push into a site, whether that's going through bridge to middle or coming from underneath in basement and into bomb site B. This time through, again, playing a little more passively, kind of relying on the hot streak that we're seeing from RST and MND together, playing very well. But here we go, Supremo having a nice round so far. Able to get aggressive.
Oh, Ralph finds 2 though, and he's still searching for one more, maybe on this spawn side. He's very lit up though, so he's trying to keep himself alive as well, maybe, but RST finally able to find him, and he shuts him down. So it's 2v2. painGaming putting that bomb down B site. Jaime's over on the spawn side. RST just caught a glimpse of him, and lucky didn't get his head blown off as well. And for now, RST trying to set up for these guys to come in. Excellent nade from Jaime. I think that was a full HP nade, which is
rare,
extremely difficult to do. And that's got to be a little bit irritating, but Exler comes in, takes down RST as well, and they'll be able to pick up this defuse. But that was just a bomb nade there from Jaime. Able to find just such an easy frag for them. Made it all the easier for them to get into that site and take it. Now we've got Alpha 5 sitting themselves pretty at an 8-5 lead here.
Yeah, you know, there's a lot to be said for how Jamie has closed out the last 2 rounds. That scope right before the smoke gets into full effect, able to help even out the numbers and team a little bit. And then again with that nade, able to give them, again, another advantage. That's the reason why they've won these last 2 rounds, was simply because Jamie and Jaime's come up with a very clutch play. Here comes more aggression. This is what Pain needs to do, even though that self-nade is not.
Oh, MND say it ain't so, buddy. Felipe gets in, takes down Jaime anyway, evens it up for the time being, but Exler gets 2, finally shut down by Felipe, and Ralph's over on the spawn side. Supremo's battling it out with him. He found 1, but Albert immediately found the exchange on frags there. So Felipe for painGaming is the last one up, and it's a 1 versus 2. Albert, oh, what an excellent shot on a Monstar. Now 1 versus 1, both of them extremely hurt, trying to just play a game of chess here and wait each other out. But Albert getting aggressive takes down Felipe in the 1-on-1. These set Alpha 5 up now with a map point. They just need 1 more round, and they will go ahead and take this first map in the best of 3.
And if you're painGaming, especially if you're RMD, you got to be face-palming this a little bit. If he stays up, I think they get that round. I hate to see that happen, because that's what they need to do, is to have that aggression, to really kind of push around Alpha 5 a little bit. It's still not out of reach. They're very, here we go again. This is another strong push right into the face of bomb site B, and they're able to get the first trades as far as blood goes early on. Ralph is in trouble here.
Oh, and Monstar's got guys closing in all over him here. Felipe, MND, both seeking out those frags over on the B site. Now immediately they give themselves a 2-man advantage. MND picks up on Albert as well. Oh my goodness, they're dropping like flies here on the side of Alpha 5. Exler, the last man standing, 1 versus 5. He's been hot all game here, but I don't know if he can battle out 5 of these guys. They know exactly where he's at. It's kind of a lost cause, but for now, at least, painGaming is keeping themselves alive.
You know, good for painGaming to not go into defensive and just kind of a comfort zone play. They did not play that one conservatively at all, and that's exactly what they need. They were successful on bomb site A last time through, 2 rounds ago. They were successful there. If it wasn't for that self-nade, we'd be looking at a different total. And even that being said, if Jaime was not being as clutch as he is, this could easily be 5-1, 4-2 the other way. It just has come down to those little trades that you just get at the very end of the round. And right again, we have bomb site B being taken very quickly. This is exactly what the Monstar doing a good job of stalling at the moment. It's exactly what they want.
And there we go. MND's able to find 2, though. It's a 2 versus 3. painGaming's looking good. Brunel's able to get Jaime. Now it's Albert in a 1 versus 3. And MND shuts him down. I think that was at least 3 frags on the round for MND. They're doing work once again for painGaming, but they are really keeping themselves in it here. We're now sitting at a 9-7 scoreline. So Alphav just needs that 1 round. They can't find it yet, though.
Yeah, they really. It's going to be tough too. It's definitely not going to be a gimme. I mean, you're looking through the score sheet right now. Everybody on painGaming sitting just at about even as far as their kill-death ratio, and that's exactly what you need is everyone to contribute. And interestingly enough, they've gone aggressive the last 3 rounds, and now look at it. They're waiting for the defense to kind of push up and maybe try to get a very around the world kind of rotate. And I don't know if Exler's going to be able to get out of this middle right now. He's either going to be in a really great spot or a really bad spot. And here comes the delay rush, execute into A. No one there. And Felipe is going to be on the other side of the map to try to help make some noise and kind of maybe get a rotate. And this is going to be interesting to see if Alpha 5 can rotate through and take a retake here.
Well, they originally banked on the fact that they were going B because Exler pushed out of the A site or the connector and was trying to get some early intel to see if maybe they were coming towards A. He didn't see anything, so they just kind of banked on that they would be going B, but they've got full entrance. They have the bomb planted. Now it's just the retake game coming out from Alpha 5. Monstar's able to get one. Exler grabs one as well. Jaime also finds himself a frag, but painGaming coming back with some here. It's a 2v3. Oh my goodness, RST's able to pick up 2 with the AK. Brunel takes down Jaime, and he gets Monstar to boot. That's 2 frags, keeping painGaming alive. I thought Alpha 5 had it in the bag, and painGaming is just showing why they deserve to be here.
Absolutely. Right, and, for a moment there with Felipe kind of being the lingerer over by bomb site B getting taken out, I was a little nervous for Pain because if you're on Alpha 5 and you get a pick on the one person that's sitting on the other side of the map, you can pretty much just go straight in and know that the other 4 are going to be somewhere around A without having to worry about a flank. And again, this is the opposite happening. Felipe going to be over here making noise at bomb site A while bomb site B gets taken. And here it is again, opening frag, MND, absolutely huge. This is going really well for them. Although right now, Albert from behind could make a lot of trouble.
Oh, he's already able to find 2 there with the M4. He's still lurking behind. He knows RST is pretty hurt on the site. Tried getting a nade off onto him, but it's a 1 versus 3 now that RST needs to try and convert on. He has the bomb in hand, but he still has these guys closing in all angles onto him here. Jaime hops right on top of his head, and that'll shut him down. Finally, Alpha 5 closing out that first map. They take it in a 9-8.
9-7, I think.
9-8.
No, 9-8.
No, 9-8.
Right.
Yeah, 9-8.
Wow.
We can do math here, I promise.
I don't know. I am not going to say that I can.
Yeah, we try anyway. We try. But that is Alpha 5 taking the first map on Ankara. Now we head on over to Mexico, which is going to be quite interesting.
I have to say, with how much control I thought Alpha 5 would have on defense, not seeing that, I think it's going to be an open-ended map here. I mean, yes, Pain lost their map.
Right.
Barely. I mean, it was that close from going into overtime. And again, if we don't have a situation where Jaime is clutching those last couple kills before he drops and is able to help his team do a retake, they're going to do well, more often than not to have the numbers advantage. So a knife round here, Mexico, again, just absolutely Shredsville. Although it looks like Pain, again, taking a really early advantage in the knives as they did last time. And there it is, just Shredville. 3 kill for MND. Doesn't matter if he's got a gun or a knife. He's going to just tear it up. Tear it up. Go get you some, boy.
Tearing. He is, once again, showing his knife skills there. Pink, I don't know. I guess maybe they practice the knife rounds a little bit more. They've been doing quite well on them.
As silly as it sounds, I feel like it's one of those things you really do have to practice.
It becomes an important factor, especially on a map like Mexico, because now they get to go and take the global risk side, which is really where you want to start.
Exactly.
Really where you want to start on this map, because you can get so many rounds off the start on this favored side. I mean, you really, if you're on Global Risk side, you really shouldn't let the Blacklist get any more than maybe 3-4 rounds if you're really playing. I mean, you don't want them to get many more than 3.
Yeah, I would say they have to be shooting for 3 is the magic number, I'd say, in this situation. Especially, it's interesting because even if they were to have picked offense first just to see if they could continue their momentum with pushing into sites, I would not have been disappointed with that because then they have the opportunity, if they do end up going down on offense, they get to come back and finish out the map on defense and possibly carry that momentum into a map 3. Still, there's nothing wrong with taking defense first here.
No.
I have nothing but supreme confidence that they're going to be able to hold. I think 3 is absolutely the magic number, though. If they can get away with only allowing 3 rounds, they're going to be in a good spot to really get that push they had last time on Ankara in a tighter space with a little bit more agility on the map.
And we'll have to see, too. I mean, you also have to factor in how good is Alpha-5's defense going to be as well. That's
true.
Also something to think about. Sometimes, it might sound easy being, just having to pick up 3 rounds or something, but not always the case. Sometimes it can be quite difficult. So we'll have to see how it plays out. But as we said, Alpha-5 is starting off on the Blacklist side. painGaming will be over on Global Risk as we get our second map kicked off here. Alpha-5 taking the first one on Ankara, 10-8 as your score. And if they win this map here, Alpha-5, they will be your open qualifier champions for Crossfire, taking home that $10,000 prize pool and that trip to China as well. But of course, painGaming is going to be joining them in China. At this point, it's more for the prestige and that prize money.
Interestingly enough, very regularly do we see the defense get into that middle zone to try to be a little more aggressive. Not the case here for Pain. Opting to leave the middle open, and I can't say I disagree because it gives them the nade advantage. It looks like Alphav but all out. Oh my God, Bruno through the double doors.
That's 2 big shots. He's still lurking around there. Jaime wants to end his reign of terror if he can. These guys look like scared children inside of the mid. Jaime gets an excellent shot, though, on RST, and they're going to take this bomb into the B site. They have full control of it here, and this is the very common plant spot that you'll see. They're going to put it on this backside, and Jaime's going to try and play this crack here. This crack shot is so hard for the pushing painGaming players when they get the nade onto him. That's exactly what the doctor ordered for them. And Exler now gets 2. He's searching for the 3rd, but Felipe finishes him off in a 1 versus 1. And Felipe is going to go and grab the defuse as well in very exciting fashion. painGaming picks up the first round.
That was a tough spot for them to rotate through. Like you said, that crack spot is just, you can't do anything against it if you're going at it gun versus gun. A brilliant set nade, able to land directly on his feet, able to kind of finish off that, so there's no worries there. And again, we're seeing a little bit of a client issue, but I was going to say, we were at the original part of it. It didn't look like painGaming was going to go straight into that middle zone, which I think is going to bring a lot of just different covers to their looks. If they can establish themselves early as being the passive defenders, they will obviously have the map allows for it. They have the room to be aggressive while still being safe, and it could possibly catch Alpha-5 off guard when they decide that that's what they want to go for. So these different looks is really going to keep their defensive coverage totally masked as far as what they have as far as options go.
Yeah, and you do have a lot of options on your defense. I mean, and all of them work quite well. I mean, you can play aggressive into the middle. You can sit back more, and it's still just is so difficult for the Blacklist side to push regardless because you really only have two or 3 good options to get into all the bomb sites. Into like B site, you have pretty much 1 good way to get in that way. I mean, it's to get into that bomb site. Same thing with A, you really only have 2 options. I mean, maybe 3, but they're all very choky.
I was gonna say they're all so small as far as how narrow those hallways are. The thing that I feel like a lot of people don't understand with attacking on the site is you have to use your nades well.
Yes,
and
crucial.
Same thing as far as counter nading goes on defense. If you are getting to a point where the offense is using all of their nades for no reason, you have a distinct advantage as the defender because you have the ability to have more in your backpack.
Well, now we are back into the game.
There is some aggression, I'll tell you that much.
Now right away, Felipe grabs Albert, and Ralph exchanges with him right off the bat. So we are looking at now a 4 versus 4 situation. It is currently 1-0 here.
Yes,
1-0. in favor of painGaming. And he is on the global risk side. Monstar's got the bomb. He's working towards alleyway, which Exlert is over that way. It looks like most of Alpha 5 wants to move towards the alley. So
there's going to be a lot of weight falling on Supremo's shoulders here. He had it all last game on Ankara in bomb site B, and now he's the guy in the hut here at bomb site A. He's going to have to delay, and that's not what you need right there. Because Bruno's got to come through double doors, and you see exactly what happens. Just a slaughter.
Oh, they are just dropping like flies. MND 1 versus 3. Push in through the mid side here into the A site, but that bomb's down, and there's guys all over the place. He's getting nades in his face to boot, and it's just, it's almost an unsurmountable task. Exlert easily able to find the headshot onto MND there, so Alpha 5 ties this game up at 1-1.
I cannot stress enough how important it is as the sole or last defender in a bomb site, how you have to be able to delay or get picks. If you can't get the picks, if you're not in a spot where you are able to, you know, pick anything besides one angle, just hold that one angle. You know, you have to hold as long as you can. Supremo unable to do that, and you saw exactly what happens. Bruno tries to come through the double doors, is immediately met with 3 rifles in his nose. RMD has had no chance there. And here, that's a good solid pick there from Philippe over by the forklift, able to kind of open up the bomb site A as a little more freedom on the defensive side. Exlert, just incredible distance there.
He got a good counter frag, counter pick traded up there, so that sits us at 4v4. Ralph with the bomb. They have this A site kind of smoked off right now, and Alpha 5 just lurking around inside of the mid. I think they want to take it towards B. I know Albert's already over there by quad box, causing a little bit of a disturbance. Exlert still hanging out in the alleyway, though. I think he's getting ready to meet up with his teammates inside of mid, and we might be seeing some sort of an execute towards B, but the smoke is dissipated now. They're peeking back towards A. I can't exactly tell where they want to go with this one.
It really looks like they're feeling it out and trying to see... Wow. Can you put a leash on that kid, please? Like, good grief. What a great play by Jaime, too, coming out the middle to help with that rotate. This is going to be a big fight. Yep, Jaime again with the double. This is going to make it really interesting, although they're committing to B. A little surprised by that, but either way, Albert able to find a pick-off from the kill from Ralph earlier. Great play. I was a little nervous, I think, as well as you, with the smoke kind of dissipating. They lost their chance to push through that hall into B. Yeah. Didn't seem to make a difference. They had other plans in mind, as we come to terms with.
Yeah, Jaime picked up 2 big frags, allowed them to just take control of that B site. Now Alpha 5 looking to through the sewers. Bruno.
Nope, no door.
Shut down Albert, closing the door right on his face there. Monstar gets taken out as well by RST. So the sewer push just getting murdered there by Alpha 5, and it's Exlert and Ralph. The remaining 2. Exlert did get 1 pick back on the Supremo, but still 2v4, very tough situation. They have the bomb, though, which is the good news.
That is the good news. The only problem is they're only working with about 25% of the map to move around right now. I mean, the position that we see on the defensive side for Pain is just they don't have much room to work with. I mean, they have to come through really tight areas, and they're going to be met with a lot of resistance. Oh, my God. Exlert, my goodness, my friend.
He is
6-1.
Doing work.
Just in these 3 rounds. That doesn't include the first round earlier when he went off for a couple of kills.
And that's he did it on Ankara too. I mean, he was playing very, very well for Alpha 5. He's showing up today, so that is now because of those frags. It set him up 2v3. Ralph is still inside of those sewers as well as
Philippe
Exlert.
Saw him. That's going to be some good amount of reconnaissance there. Philippe seeing him very wisely backing off, able to play the forklift and see if there's a rotate. It's going to be through sewers right now, and Brunau's going to be the first one to meet the double resistance here.
Ooh, a great pick, though, for Exlert as he comes out of sewers. So 2v2, and I see Exlert moving his way towards B, and Ralph's following right behind him on the leash. So with just 35 seconds left, they'll try and bring this straight into the B side here. MND's over there. They did get a flash onto the site, made it a bit difficult. MND actually found that frag on the Exlert, so it's 1 versus 2, and there's 25 seconds left. Ralph gets Felipe, now 1 versus 1. MND versus Ralph. They're just feeling each other out, and he is playing this crack shot here. Ralph is, and MND knows it, but looking to get a bit more aggressive is Ralph. Wow. MND finds the headshot, though, in the same place that he found the other frags, and gives painGaming the round. We are tied right back up here at 2-2.
Props to MND for having the discipline to be patient. Knowing that the round was ending soon and there had to be a plant, that's where, wow, Exlert please, just stop. Just, my goodness. I mean, he's a real gym rat. You can just tell. He just gets in there. He's a real frisky guy. I mean, he's 8-2. Able to do it with the scope or the M4 doesn't seem to make a difference. But going back to MND, having the patience to know that, the offensive team has 20 seconds to work with. The maximum that you have to work with for defense is 20 plus the 35 or whatever it is for the bomb. That's just smart equity again, just using the clock to his advantage, even though he was in not necessarily a favorable one-on-one. It's just anything you can get at that point in time to put yourself in a better spot is absolutely what's needed. M&D, just props off, hats off to him.
Give some props to Exler, too.
Just incredible.
And especially using the scope on a map like this, which can be quite difficult.
Absolutely.
You really need to have some scope. Just how close quarters this map
is. Door's open right here.
It really is. They're getting full entrance here. Come on in. It is 5 versus 2. They've got the bomb. They want to move it towards B, and RST is in for a very rude awakening here. Exler wasn't able to get those shots with the Deagle, at least find the frag. Got some shots off into RST, knocked them down to about 50 health, but that leaves the man RST from painGaming all by himself. 1 versus 4. The bomb's down, too, and once again, he's just in one of these situations. It's going to be just about impossible for him to pull this one off.
The props that I had to give to MND for having patience last round, I have to give to the entire team of Alpha 5 here. They had the 5-on-2 advantage, and instead of just going in blindly and picking up onsite, they held the middle to try to see where the picks and the shots were going to come from, and able to get, reconnaissance where MND was back in bomb site A, able to commit to taking him out and having a free bomb site. It's absolutely brilliant. It's an even 1-1 trade, putting yourself up 4-1 instead of possibly going in and getting yourself in a tough situation where, here we go, here's an offensive defense right now. Wow, great nades.
Ooh, they are pushed up pretty heavy. painGaming was. Felipe paid because of it, though. The nade from Monstar, a couple nades came through from the boys from Alpha 5, but
look at how disciplined Alpha 5 is. The last 5 rounds, they've been able to take middle with ease. The one time they meet resistance, they're able to say, hey, back off. And they all get out of there, and they come out again on top. They're just so smart at finding where they get the advantage and what positions they have the best chance to be successful. It's just incredible communication. That's what you have to tee that off to.
They don't get too excited either. When they get that pick, they just take it easy, and they don't get too aggressive and just give up one of their own players. They play it smart, wait it out, and now they can play this man advantage quite well. They are grouped up heavily on this alley side right now. They got the whole gang. There's a party down in alley, and they're sending out the flashes as Exler is your entry fragger here. Jaime and Ralph actually both pick up one. Jaime got taken down just before Ralph was able to finish off Supremo, but it is 2 versus 4. Bomb goes down. MND and Bruno are your 2 guys trying to retake the site. And once the offensive side does get in here and plants this bomb, it's so difficult to retake.
Especially 4-on-2.
Yeah, it just makes it all the tougher. And once again, it's almost the same reason why the offensive side is just so difficult. I mean, pushing in is terribly hard, and look at that. Alpha 5 is doing tremendous work, though, on the offense. Despite how much of a disadvantage you're at on playing it, they're up right now, 4-2.
We said the magic number was 3. Currently, they're at 5. 5-1 is not what you want to be at right now for painGaming. The great opening from MND, able to control the middle on his own with a nade and a nice M4 double kill to secure that. But again, Alpha 5 able to maneuver around the map like it just doesn't matter.
Oh, there's Jaime, gets Supremo down by the double doors. It's 3v2 at the moment. Alpha 5's got it, and they also have that bomb. And once again, they just wrap it around on the B side alley, and they're going to plant it. And they should be able to set up a pretty good defense here. Albert's actually lurking quite well inside of these sewers here, and he should be able to pick up. RST's going to be crossing here in just a moment. He should be able to find this flag. RST was looking. Wow. He was actually ready for it. I thought it was going to be free pickings for Albert, but not the case. It's 2 versus 2 as painGaming tries to get themselves back into the site. MND gets shut down by Ralph, though. It's going to be 1 versus 2.
Wow,
RST.
Look at Alpha 5. Look at them playing the clock right now. Oh, absolutely brilliant defense.
Oh, great move from RST, though. He just had a hunch that Ralph might be back in the corner there. There's only a few seconds left. Nothing they can do. Played it beautifully, as you said. Jaime pops out, gets that final frag. I don't think he had the time anyway, RST. And that will now be a 5-2? 5-2, I believe it is.
Yeah, 5-2. I misspoke before when we said who had that first round.
Yeah, 5-2 for Alphav here. And if painGaming doesn't get something going, they cannot afford to give up more rounds here. They really need to get down to crunch time.
Absolutely. The thing is, they're being pushed around. And a great pick from Supremo through the smoke. We'll call Lotto if you want to, but either way, that's a brilliant pick to start things off. It makes you wonder if them not putting a commitment into the middle defense as kind of just a preliminary setup is wrong. Because they're doing it this round, and they did it a little bit last round, but for the most part, they've been sticking to staying in spawn, 1 in B and 3 in A. And it has not been working out to their advantage yet, really.
There's some serious flaws, I think, in the defenses of painGaming. Ralph was able to get Bruno out with a nade. Supremo exchanges on that one. Exler battling it out with Felipe down by the alleyway, but actually, for once, Exler didn't come out on top of one of those fights. Albert gets one, but immediately shut down afterwards, and there's just so many bodies around right now. Monstar's trying to hold off, gets one good nade. painGaming did a good job of fending that one off, and he's got just so many guys storming towards him. Not too much you can do there in that situation, but we are heading into our last round of the half here. Alpha5 still in the lead at 5-3.
Yeah, you have to get 5-4 here. You just have to if you're painGaming.
Yeah.
I don't want to say it's going to break the entire match if you don't, but it's going to be difficult. Felipe doing a great job. That was interesting again. I don't know why they would have to believe that. Let's just go ahead and defend for maybe an early sewer push. But committing to the strategy is great. In that situation, they're able to get bombed. It's great. Absolutely brilliant holds.
Really good. They, like you said, they committed to defending sewer just in case that came through. And Felipe, 2 big picks right off the start,
picks.
gave them so much more power on that round. And now they made the best out of a bad situation. They were down a lot. Alpha5 still having a great half for the offensive side, all things considered, but painGaming really bringing it back. They're going to give themselves a fighting shot now at this second half.
Now, here's the question, though. If you're painGaming, you're already down a round. You're already down a map. What approach do you take to really get your feet back on the ground for offense? I want to say Alpha5 has more liberty in this situation to be flexible, knowing they have not only a round, but an entire map to play with later.
Right.
If they so choose.
And it's nice for them to, they don't have too much pressure here. Of course, they want to close things out, but like you said, the question is, what does Pain do in this situation? And I mean, we'll have to scope this out, I guess. But I mean, so far, it was just kind of getting, at least for the earlier half of the first half, if that makes sense. Alpha5 was just kind of, they were just kind of like outclassing them. Really, Alpha5 was just outplaying them. But painGaming is going to have to do the same here if they want to start things off. Felipe exchanges. And here comes Bruno with 2 of his own.
What a great
inside of the mid. Very well executed. Bruno getting a 3rd one, but Ralph comes back with 2 of his own, and we're already stuck into a 1-versus-1 situation here. If I can get this camera back onto somebody. Ralph's on it, but RST coming down from behind and finds the frag onto Ralph. And that is a big statement there from painGaming, getting themselves back here. They've tied it up once again, 5-5.
Yeah, and if you notice, and they're doing it again this round through, they're putting 3 through the middle to get that early hold on defense here, Alpha5 is. And that round through, they were able to get the first pick. And I think, as much as it was not an advantage for Pain, they were able to get good recon saying, hey, we got 3 guys mid. The commit to go through sewer and to pick off everything through the middle is absolutely huge and is what gave them that advantage as they moved through the rest of the round. Absolutely brilliant execute through the middle sewer.
And he tried coming
Here
in
it comes
through
again.
mid. Ralph shut him down. They are moving through sewer. Albert shuts down the bomb carrier, though. And RST able to come back. Ralph actually finds 2 of his own, taking down Albert shortly afterwards, and it's 3v2 now. Monstar pops his head through the double doors, gets blasted by Felipe. Jaime exchanges, but taken down by RST just afterwards. painGaming coming out with the first 2 rounds of the second half here.
RST has officially, in my book, gotten the hashtag lurk status. He has been lurking the last 2 rounds so beautifully. He was not a part of any of that early engagement, was sitting in middle, and when things started to get to the point where the defense was going to start rotating, he was right there to get 2, 3 that time, just from the flank. Absolutely brilliant play. Here it goes again. If it ain't broke, don't fix it here, Anthony.
They're trying, but I think Alphav starting to catch on to it a little bit. Jaime picks up 3, 2 with the M4, 1 with the Deagle, and they were ready for it that time. I think it was maybe just 1 too many. They finally caught on to it and shut it down very, very quickly there. So we are back to a tied game here. It is going to be, what is that now, 6-all?
6-all. You know, I'm a pretty good rock, paper, scissors player, but I won't throw rock 3 times in a row.
No.
And that's essentially what Pain was doing right there. Was granted, it was a little bit of a different look. They committed all 5 to the sewer rush that time instead of kind of lurking and waiting for the recon, but even still, it's interesting to see them commit to that. I think they had that much success that they were going to be able to dominate in that. But here it comes again. Another fake throughout. This is just being met with.
Oh my goodness. Exler, 3 frags with the M4. Shuts down the mid push. Albert will pick up RST on the tail side of that as well. Just an absolute beatdown inside of the mid. And that's something that the North American teams, they really like to do. 2 points here. The North American teams love taking early mid control on the global risk side on this map. They love the early mid control, getting 2 or 3 players in there quickly. But the other thing is, I don't understand. They've done it now a couple rounds in a row. painGaming, their smokes out in the mid, and they're just pushing right through the smoke.
That's 4 of those same looks in a row, essentially.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that I kind of go back and say, well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it for the other side.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's one of those things. And this is going to be interesting now because Pain had so much comfort coming through the sewer. They have to get a different look. And right now it's through alley, and they're nervous about it. You can tell. You know, Supremo's got the bomb, and he's trying to make something happen, but there's still, Felipe and Bruno are trying to have that presence in the sewer, and it's just not there.
And they tried going through alley, but Jaime again gets a 3K. It's 3Ks all around from Alpha 5 right now in the past couple rounds. As now Bruno's your last remaining player on painGaming. The bomb is down here, and he's just stuck in a very tough situation. And it's just kind of one of those hopeless ordeals. I mean, I guess somebody's got to pull off these amazing clutches every now and then, but it's
a tough task right in front of him right now.
Yeah.
Very tough task.
He's got guys all over the place. He was just kind of sitting in the mid next to that box like a scared dog. I kind of felt bad for him, but Exler able to find him quite quickly, pop his head off. So now we're sitting at an 8 to 6.
Yep.
8 to 6 overall. 2 more rounds, and Alpha 5 is going to take this title.
Yeah, and you can kind of see Pain is struggling to find something. You know, they don't have the presence in mid, and this is kind of what I'm talking about. Again, we see 3 players stacking Alpha 5 in the middle, 1 at quad box, 1 playing in shadow, and then 1 obviously rotating back through ramp. But still, it makes you wonder why Pain did not exploit that natural map advantage sooner in their strategy on defense. It's such a tall task to come back when you're already down and have to rotate back into the offensive side. It's just real tough. You can see they're trying to get corner and shoulder peek shots right now through the middle, but I mean, you already know Alpha 5's disciplined. They're not just going to, if he knows pre-fire's coming out, Albert's not going to peek that.
No, of course not, and there's no reason for him to. Absolutely none. And if, you know, he's not going to risk his own life just to maybe find a cheeky frag on somebody. But there he goes. He rotates himself around to help the cause over towards sewer and takes down Felipe. So immediately Alpha 5 grabs the 1-player advantage, and Pain is starting to move their way into mid now that the smokes have dissipated. I'm glad they waited for the smokes to go, but
it's smart.
But now more flashes are coming out. They're all grouped up here. All 4 players sitting inside of the mid here, and they're trying to make some sort of exit, possibly over towards the B side. Monstar peeks out from quad box, though, able to get Supremo, and he's just taking peek shots over at MND, who's been knocked down to 3 health as well. RST taken out by Xlert, and now MND just a hopeless man inside of the mid. Alpha 5 set up now at match point.
Yeah, and you know, again, the presence that you can get, like Alpha 5 just again showing their control, but painGaming stalled. They were put into a stall. Not that they actually chose to stall. They were put into a literal freeze simply because of the pressure that was coming from middle. I mean, they wasted out their flashes. They gave a clear tell that they were going to execute towards mid to A, and Alpha 5's like, all right, cool, fine, go ahead. I'll just go ahead and put pressure in the middle, and they didn't have any chance to get to a bomb set without being completely exposed, and that's essentially what happened. They were stalled in the middle. That's not a place you want to be frozen at.
Now it's go time for painGaming, and MND just missing that shot. Barely onto Monstar by quad box. Albert gets RST. Things are looking a bit dire for painGaming at the moment. He does, because it's going to be tough to hold these guys off unless he hits some incredible shots. They do get into the A site here. Sees Albert towards the double doors. Misses the shot, but Felipe makes up for his mistake. So 3 versus 2. They're still trying to get this bomb down. And indeed they do. Ralph and Monstar trying to get on the retake. There's a smoke out onto the site that's helping them get in, but Ralph gets taken out by Felipe regardless. Monstar, 1 versus 3. He's now gonna, oh, what a shot from MND, the big 1D. Shutting down Monstar through the smoke. Just what the doctor ordered there. He keeps painGaming alive. He almost had a miraculous clutch there, but MND shutting him down right there. And MND has not done too much this half here. I'm not sure if he
not
rejoined
particularly.
the server, but I don't know if he rejoined or what. But he's only sitting at 2 frags. So
yeah, and both those frags came in the last round. One with a scope, one with a pistol. It's one of those things that you can tell Pain is kind of scrambling. They need to find something that works. Again, we see that they're not committing to going through the middle without some sort of protection. We see Monstar is going to be sitting back here towards quad box. You can see his tag there, and he's going to have the ability to control the rotates, essentially. Unless something happens, they're actually a double scope. Felipe and MND now picking it up. It's interesting to see them play that, and Monstar's not dumb. He's not going to peek that again, knowing that he doesn't have the advantage.
And I find this to be such an odd map to try a double scope setup on, too. It's really not friendly towards the scopes. I mean, you have to be so on point if you want to try and scope on this map. You just need to be very quick, and trying to run 2 of them is just, to me, not as efficient as getting your rifles out there. You need that fracking power of a rifle and being able to take down multiple people quickly. But, they're trying anything at this point because they are looking at match point down. I mean, if they lose 1 more, their run here is over. So
they got to get 2 rounds, and you can tell they're really being cautious about how they're going to commit here. Like, they want to let that scope get an advantage somewhere. And right now, trying to get a peek somewhere onto bomb site A, I like it. However, it's very dangerous there. Wow, beautiful.
Oh, there it is.
Beautiful shot.
I was knocking the scopes, but Felipe finds a big shot on Albert there. It's now 4 versus 4. They've played this round quite slowly, painGaming, trying to scope things out, so to speak.
Quite literally.
Yeah, scope things out. Jaime finds Bruno, though, with a nice headshot. He was trying to work in from the alley side, but Exler gets RST as well. There's 30 seconds left here. Felipe gets taken out by Jaime. Supremo needs to come up massive, or painGaming is done here. 1 versus 4. There's just way too many bodies around. Alphav secures it. They take it 10-7, and I hate to say it, but I think you were right on the predictions. You're never going to hear me say that again, I promise.
Team I hold shit. Hashtag left pig straight.
Yeah, let him have his moment. I'll let him have his moment.
Now, to be fair, though, I mean, it's just, we go back and we have to recap through a little bit. On-Cars picked. They lose it yesterday. They say, we could do this. Let's go at it. Couple missed opportunities. Again, we could be looking at a different situation if they are able to convert late in the round. Jaime too strong. Exler too strong.
Way too strong.
The bomb holds have been so massive. I mean, it's just unbelievable to see Alphav deserving of that gold name right there. They deserved.
Very deserving.
Start to finish. Great playing.
I thought the game was going to be so much closer, but they went lights out. Alphav did on this last series here in the finals. Now, everything's not over for painGaming. They still get to go to China and represent their country, along with, I believe it's INST, that's the other Brazilian team that is going to China as well. So they'll be there with them and playing it out, but still, Alphav taking the crown here. And just playing an all-around excellent game. They're going to pick up $10,000 to put into their pockets here. painGaming's still getting a pretty nice paycheck too, a little holiday bonus of $5,000. But not bad all around. Alphav definitely showing why they won that, why they deserve that.
And and the scheme of larger things to come, I think both teams have a lot to look back on and learn from.
Yeah.
Going into a scene where this game is a big deal, I think that they both learned a lot from their experience, both from yesterday, earlier today, and then obviously the finals matchup. And if it is true that Alphav has been scrimming up against painGaming, I think that you're gonna see a little bit different play in their next couple practices before they get out to China later this winter.
And definitely, it's good to get that international experience, play each other. They're playing against the teams that they'll be facing once again over in China. So lots of good experience for these guys all around, and I'm definitely excited to see the World Finals when that comes about in December. But guys, go ahead and follow us once again. We'll plug it one more time. Head on over onto Twitter. Follow us at WCA_America and use that hashtag WCA2015. team to stay in the conversation about Crossfire. You got Heroes of the Storm coming up as well in just a little bit for their open qualifying finals. So
yeah, 2:30 Pacific. I know I'm sticking around for it.
Oh yeah, we'll be here. We'll be watching. So you guys definitely check that out. Any final thoughts here, Alan? Before
Man, this was fun.
Out? It was.
Let's do this again soon.
Yeah, I know, right? God, it's been a while since me and him been together, so good to get back behind the desk with you, buddy. But anyway, that's gonna do it for us, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and like we said, Heroes of the Storm coming up here in just a little bit. That's it for myself, Anthony Gex Mizarandino, Alan Shift, Donafrio. We'll see you guys next time.